All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about two young quarterbacks that are set to square off in week one. Kind of just talk about their matchup as well as my expectations for these two guys going into the 2024 season. So let's get right into that. So, these two quarterbacks did make the playoffs last year. Um, Kind of different seasons, for these two guys. Um, if I can try to get it up, I don't know why my graphics are not working here. Um, but they are coming off of different. One of them started off strong. All right, so we got it up now. One of them started off strong, record wise. Well, actually, they both started off decent, and then the Eagles had their collapse, and the Packers, they looked like they were one of the worst teams in football at one point, but Jordan Love got things straightened out, and played like an MVP candidate down the stretch. But these are their stats from last year. Jordan Love threw for more yards, more touchdowns, had less interceptions. The one problem with Jalen Hurts last year was the turnovers were up. His interceptions, his fumbles, combined, did turn the ball over more, which is something that, if you're an Eagles fan, you're hoping goes down this year. Now, these two are set to square off for the first time, as starters. Now, Jordan Love did come in. Now, the Eagles and the Packers did play a couple years ago. And that was in Philly. Aaron Rodgers was the starting quarterback, but he ended up leaving the game. I forget what the injury was. It was like a rib. Was it a rib injury? I forget. Whatever it was, he left with an injury. Jordan Love came in relief, and he did throw a touchdown pass to Christian Watson. But now this is the first time that these two quarterbacks are squaring off as both of them being starters. And both teams going into the year have high expectations. I expect both these teams to be playoff teams. I have the Eagles winning the NFC East. And then for the Packers, I got them finishing in the North, but I have them making it as a wild card team. Now, in terms of their teams, I do think Jalen Hurts has a better supporting cast around him. But I do think Jordan Love has a solid supporting cast around him. Both of them have solid offensive lines. But when you look at the receivers, I mean Jalen Hurts, it's really no contest. I mean, he's got A.J.Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, you're going to take those guys over what the Packers have. Now, that does not... I don't want to disrespect the Packers receivers because they got a bunch of solid young receivers, but A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are really good receivers. A.J. Brown's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and Devontae Smith is a solid number two. But they are a 1A and a 1B together. So, and then you also have Dallas Goedert. You add him to the mix as well. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft were solid last year for the Packers, but I would take Goddard. And then when you look at the running backs, it's pretty close. I mean, you got two running backs that'll be making their debuts with their new teams. You got Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, and then you got Josh Jacobs with the Packers. Barkley's, a little bit older than Jacobs. That one's kind of a toss-up. Maybe you'll kind of lean towards Barkley. But, both of these offenses should be solid. The Eagles went through some changes with their coordinators. You got Kellen Moore now calling the plays. So, we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I think the Eagles are going to be solid again this year. I think that collapse is going to be a thing of the past. Now, people do worry about, how is Nick Sirianni going to be? But I don't know. I just feel like they got way too much talent. I feel like this team is going to be really good once again. But in terms of who I think has a better chance of winning MVP, now, like I said, I think Jalen Hurts has more talent, or the better talent. And, Jordan Love is going into his second full year as a starter. And, there's still some unknowns there. We kind of know what Jalen Hurts is at this point. Jalen Hurts is solid. But, what is Jordan Love? Now, I do think Jordan Love is going to come out and have a very good year. Didn't really play that much in the preseason, but the one, series that he did play in, he threw that touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks. So are we going to see more of that? I think so. I don't know. I kind of lean towards Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love has a good chance to maybe win MVP. A better chance to win MVP over Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards that way. But again, Jalen Hurts, I think, has the better talent. But I don't know. I'm kind of riding Jordan Love here. I think Jordan Love, out of these two guys, I think I would take him to win MVP over Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts gets those rushing touchdowns. But, we saw a lot of improvement out of Jordan Love towards the end of last year. And he played really well in that playoff game against Dallas. Again, there's still some unknowns with him. Like, is he going to be able to continue to do this? But I think that's more of the Jordan Love that we're going to see. So, like I said, when it comes to MVP, give me Jordan Love. When it comes to these two guys, I would take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts. But let's see how they match up against each other on Friday. It should be a great game. Really excited for it. I think it's arguably the best game of the weekend. There are some good games. Obviously you got the game on Thursday. I think the Sunday night game, I know we saw it in the playoffs, but, Stafford making his return again to Detroit. I think Jets 49ers has the potential to be good. The Cowboys and the Browns, like that matchup. There are some good games that I'm looking forward to. But this one on Friday could be the best game of the weekend. You got this young Packers team against this Eagles team that's trying to turn the page off of last season's collapse. And I don't have a pick for this game yet. I still didn't make my picks. But it's definitely a toss-up. I think the line has moved because I think the Packers were excuse me. They were 1.5 point underdogs. But I think the line has moved up to 2.5. So yeah. Yeah, so it was basically a pick 'em, and now the Eagles are 2.5 point favorites. So kind of leaning towards the Eagles right now, but subject to change. I'm not going to make it official until we get to Friday when I make my picks. Because we'll preview this game. We're going to recap, the Chiefs game. And then it's all previews the rest of the show. So, I'm really excited for that. So, but like I said, I think both teams, I expect them to make the playoffs. One of them, I expect them to be a division winner. Now, can the Packers win the NFC North? Absolutely. They split with the Lions last year, but that's, in my opinion, that's their competition. It's between them and the Lions for the division. Because the Vikings, although I like their roster, they're still, now I don't really know what to expect out of the quarterback position. That's really the biggest problem with them. And then the Bears, you got a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams starting. So we'll see how that plays out. And then when it comes to, the Eagles, well, I talked about it in the last segment. I mean, they're going to be battling it out with Dallas for the top of the NFC East. So, but I'm really excited for this matchup. I'm excited to see the running backs. Well, I shouldn't say I'm excited that Barkley's an Eagle, but I'm excited to see how those guys do with their new teams. How do the young receivers build off of last year? Because you got Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed going into their second years. I'm hoping Christian Watson has a big year. Romeo Doubs is still there. Got him as well. I like the Packers receivers. The tight ends are good. Like I said before, how is the defense going to be with their new defensive coordinator? Same thing with the Eagles, with Vic Fangio. So, both teams have new parts. And they're going to be on full display on Friday. But don't forget that game is going to be on Peacock. So make sure, you get a subscription or somebody that has a subscription so you're able to watch this game. Because this game is going to be very entertaining, in my opinion. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on these two guys. Let me know what you guys think. What kind of seasons do you think these guys will have? I think both guys are going to have good years. But when it comes to MVP, I like Jordan Love better in the MVP race than I do Jalen Hurts. So, I think we'll be talking about Jordan Love as being one of the better quarterbacks in the league because he played like that towards the end of the year. So, let me know what you guys think though in the comments. So, we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, I'll do my schedule predictions for the NFC West. So, we're going to do them, and then we'll also do the AFC East standings predictions in the final part of the show. So, back-to-back schedule predictions, and then probably going to do the same thing tomorrow, do two of them, because, again, I want to get them all in before Thursday. And then on Thursday's show, I'll give you my Super Bowl prediction. I'm still trying to put that together. I'll have to think about that over the next couple of days. I do at least have... I think I have it, but, nothing's final yet. So this is what we'll do when we come back. Talk about the NFC West when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.